Your Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, Africa Union Commission Chairperson, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government and people of Kenya, I extend a very warm welcome to you all. And it is my profound honor that Your Excellencies have graciously accepted my invitation to participate in this extended Bureau retreat on Africa Union institutional reforms. Your presence here reaffirms the unity of purpose that binds us together as we chart the course for Africa's future. I have convened this retreat as the champion of the Africa Union institutional reforms following the assignment Your Excellencies gave me during the 37th Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Addis last year. This retreat is an opportunity to pause, reflect, and refocus our collective energies towards an African Union that is robust, efficient, and most importantly, fit for purpose. As Your Excellencies will recall, I was tasked with the role of re-energizing the reform process by ensuring the outstanding reform priorities are concluded as soon as is practicable. These reform priorities include the restructuring of the remaining Africa Union organs, institutions, and offices, as well as the study on the division of labor between the Africa Union, regional economic blocs, and states. I was also tasked with reporting on the progress of reform implementation during the forthcoming ordinary session of the Assembly in February next month. Today, we stand at a crossroads, a juncture marked by complex geopolitical developments, economic challenges, and an unprecedented social transformation. Yet within these challenges lie unparalleled opportunities that have the possibility to unlock the full potential of our continent through initiatives such as the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and other continental interventions. Our task here is to harness these opportunities, galvanize political will, and renew our collective commitment to a prosperous Africa. Your Excellencies, the Africa Union is built upon the noble foundation of liberation. Liberation from colonialism and apartheid, from oppression and from dependency. The transformation from the Organization of African Unity to the Africa Union was not a departure from this mission. Rather, it was an evolution, a shift towards addressing contemporary challenges and seizing new opportunities. The Africa Union remains firmly in the business of liberation, liberation from poverty, conflict, and underdevelopment, from unfair global trading practices, and from exclusion in the global decision-making metrics. To achieve this, our institutional architecture must be strengthened, streamlined, and strategically aligned with our vision. Since my appointment as champion of AU institutional reforms, I have engaged extensively and strategically with key Africa Union stakeholders to advance the reform agenda. These engagements include meeting with the Africa Union Commission leadership, led by the Chair, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, whose insights and ideas have formed an immense part of my presentation. The Africa Union Institutional Reforms Unit Secretariat, led by Professor Pierre Mukoko, and in a retreat that I convened in Naivasha, Kenya, on reforms that brought several actors together. Additionally, I have held consultative meetings with the Permanent Representatives Committee In Addis Ababa, the leadership of the Pan-African Parliament, led by Chief Fortune Charumbira, as well as Dr. Donald Kaberuka, the AU representative for financing the Union, here in Nairobi. I wish to thank my dear brother, His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, for the outstanding work he did as the pioneer champion of the AU institutional reforms. I commend him for his dedication and achievements in advancing the reform agenda of our organization. Excellencies, the road ahead demands bold leadership and unwavering commitment. Given that the implementation of the reform priorities is a political process, it is my view that execution should continue to be guided at the level of heads of state and government. I shall therefore be proposing to recommend to the Assembly, of course with your concurrence, the formation of a committee of heads of state and government of the African Union on AU reform to oversee this process. This will ensure sustained momentum, strategic oversight, and collective ownership of the reform process. I invite this August gathering to provide guidance on the appropriate formula for representation in the committee. To give focused attention to AU reform momentum, I'm also requesting that we consider the possibility of convening an extraordinary summit of heads of state and government later this year. Ladies and gentlemen, to realize the objective of the Africa we want as outlined in Agenda 2063, we must reinvigorate our political resolve to embrace African Union reforms, institutional reforms. These reforms are fundamental to transforming the African Union into a robust institution capable of securing a progressive and united Africa. A prosperous, integrated, and globally competitive Africa is within our reach, but only if we act with urgency, unity, and single-minded resolve. Your Excellencies, the continent is facing unprecedented challenges regarding peace and security. Conflict continues to rob Africa of its potential, costing the continent an estimated $18 billion annually and displacing millions of people. Africa today is home to 35 million internally displaced persons, 8.9 million refugees, 1.1 million asylum seekers, and 1 million stateless people. Between April and June 2024 alone, a total of 1,000 terrorism incidences were recorded across Africa, resulting in 4,818 deaths. This is an existential moment for our continent. The African Union security architecture, in its current configuration, is incapable of addressing these complex dynamics and challenges, and there is an urgent need for immediate revitalization of the peace and security architecture. The African Union's presence in regional hotspots remains weak, fragmented, and under-resourced. The African Union's network of special envoys and high representatives is underutilized and urgently needs refreshing in certain cases. As peace is the key precondition for development, it follows, Excellencies, that our continent's developmental goals are being hindered by these destabilizing forces. Strengthening the performance and effectiveness of African Union peace support operation is a strategic imperative given the volatile, complex, and interconnected nature of threats to collective peace and security. the fight against terrorism on our continent remains fragmented, reactive, poorly resourced, and uncoordinated. Developing, therefore, a comprehensive plan of action for countering terrorism in Africa, as foreseen by the 2022 Malabo Declaration, cannot wait any longer. I urge you, my esteemed colleagues, to reflect deeply on how we can further fortify our peace and security architecture. One pertinent proposal is to convene a high-level panel of Africans or professionals, perhaps 3 experts, to conduct a comprehensive review of our AU peace and security framework. This panel would also assess the feasibility of implementing the UN Security Council Resolution 2719, which offers a viable pathway for financing AU-led, UN-mandated peace support operations through assessed contributions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is regrettable that despite the Assembly's decision to limit the summit agenda to 3 strategic items as outlined in Decision 635, the agenda continues to remain excessively complex and time-consuming. This complexity continues to hamper the efficiency and effectiveness of our deliberations at the summit. To streamline the Assembly's proceedings, I will be recommending for your consideration a revised format that includes a high-level opening session followed by a dedicated session for national statements by heads of state and government focused exclusively on the 3 agenda items. Each one of us will be allocated between 7 and 10 minutes to address any of the items, ensuring precision and focus. At the close of the Assembly session, the Chairperson of the Union and Chairperson of the Commission will issue a communiqué that encapsulates the deliberations and outcomes of the summit. In addition, I shall propose that the AU Commission be mandated to publish the Assembly and Executive Council decisions within 7 days of the summit's conclusion, ensuring transparency and prompt dissemination of resolutions. Excellencies, dear colleagues, Africa possesses the possibility and the capabilities and resources to finance herself sustainably and adequately. The revitalization of the Africa Union Peace Fund has been a commendable step forward, but we must consolidate these gains and set even more ambitious financing targets. A higher endowment for the Peace Fund is essential. In achieving this, domestic resource mobilization and strategic partnerships will play a pivotal role, all the while upholding the fundamental principles of African ownership and African leadership. Since 2020, the Africa Union budget has remained stagnant despite the increasing scope of our mandates and the creation of new institutions. Our ambitions must be matched by a predictable, sustainable, and accountable financial framework. I therefore propose for your consideration again the convening of an extraordinary session of Executive Council with the participation of Ministers of Finance to explore the present and present to the Assembly viable options for achieving the Johannesburg financing target within the next 5 years. Additionally, I recommend that the Assembly mandate the Africa Union High Representative on Financing the Union, Dr. Donald Kaberuka, to develop a concept note and a comprehensive report on practical options to achieve these targets. And I'm happy that Dr. Kaberuka is in our midst. Distinguished colleagues, the operationalization of the Court of Justice of the Africa Union remains a critical priority that must be pursued with renewed vigor. This judicial body is essential in providing a legal mechanism for the resolution of disputes between African states, as well as between the African Union and its various entities. Additionally, the court will serve as a court of appeal of decisions of the African Union Administrative Tribunal, thereby enhancing the credibility and efficacy of our continental legal framework. Although the protocol of the Court of Justice of the African Union came into force in July 2009, its implementation was deferred to facilitate the merger with the African Court on Human and People's Rights and to expand its mandate to include an international crimes chamber. It is now imperative that we move forward decisively in operationalizing this vital institution, and I will be presenting a resolution to the Assembly for the immediate appointment of judges to this court. In addition, the revitalization of the Pan-African Parliament is a matter that demands our collective focus and commitment. During a recent consultative meeting in Nairobi with the leadership of the Pan-African Parliament, we reaffirmed the need for a high-level advocacy to secure the ratification of the Malabo Protocol by an additional 13 members, thereby reaching the required threshold of 28 ratifications. As of now, only 15 countries have ratified the protocol, which seeks to empower the Pan-African Parliament with permanent membership and legislative authority to formulate model laws that will shape the governance of our continent. As champion of the African Union reforms, I call upon Your Excellencies to rally behind this effort and accelerate the ratification process. As we embark on our consultations today, I wish you all fruitful deliberations. Let us work together towards producing empowering and impactful outcomes that will drive the reform process forward and position our union for greater achievement. Again, to all of you, welcome to Nairobi.